calls for it, whether it's a German or a Tamil or a Hindu or a Muslim from Sri Lanka, it doesn't matter. It's not about the West calling for this. And let me again say this, as a German, it's only because of the international community, it's only because of the Americans, the British, the French, and the Russians who forced the German society to come to terms with the crimes we committed, that someone like I can grow up. I'm socialized as a Democrat because of other countries forcing us to come to terms with our own crimes. Yes, and it also had social movements, it had a revolution inside Germany from sort of local forces who also wanted to come to terms with it. But I think coming to terms with one's own guilt is something you can be proud of. You know, I really don't understand why one should reject those attempts to come to terms with the past. If we don't deal with the past, we're not going to have a future. And it doesn't matter the sense. I think also the standards that you should apply, they're not the standards from the West. All I am referring to, what I think the Sri Lankan society has to think about, is those international treaties that Sri Lanka has signed. So you're not supposed to be judged by external standards. The only standards that exist are universal standards of human rights and humanitarian law. Sri Lanka is party to the treaties of 4th Geneva Conventions. It's Article 3 that refers to internal armed conflict. So it's not about imposing external standards. It's the standards that Sri Lanka has set itself for.
Thank you. I think we have to be grateful to Caroline for now adjusting her stance. She now talks about high standards. I quite agree we need high standards. But I think when it first started, we talked about international investigation. You said international. I'm not talking about independent kind. I'm talking about the fact that you assume that independence requires internationality. And I'm very grateful to you for moving down from that and saying you want the highest standards. I couldn't agree more. We have to have the highest standards. But why you think international means the highest standards, I really don't know. Sorry, can I finish? I'm just quoting what you said. Can I finish? You can come back later. My second point is I'm very grateful to you for bringing up the German experience. But the real problem with the German experience is that while I fully agree that what the German government did before the war was outrageous, and I think it is very, very correct that investigations should be done. They were from outside a conquered nation, and Germany deserved to be, and we agree at the time we were. But look at the consequences of that. The German people felt guilt, rightly so, and how was that guilt assuaged? At the expense of the Palestinians. And I think one of those outrageous impacts of this relentless German guilt, which I agree with, is that it has taken away from analysis of what is going on in Pakistan. Because whenever...
Pakistan or Palestine?
I'm from Palestine, I'm so sorry. Thank you for the correction. I do appreciate the correction. But there's an extension of Pakistan as well, because some of the demonization of Al-Qaeda who is the springs from what happened in Palestine. I do think that Germany has a moral responsibility to do more for the people of Palestine than anyone else, because not because of you, the guilt of the Germans was assuaged at the expense of the Palestinians, and I think that is one of the major problems, because whenever now there are efforts to try to deal with what the Israeli government now is doing in Palestine, there are cries of Holocaust, anti-Semitism, etc. And there's a moral responsibility of the West, which it is dodging at the moment, to try to get some justice for the people who were crushed in order to compensate the Jews for the terrible things that happened there. I quite agree, and for that reason I think it's vital that when you talk about Germany, you realize A, what a special case it was, and B, what the impact of Nazi horrors has had on the whole world
excellent.
You included Germany, Caroline. Germany is already there.
Relax. Okay, so let's well, I mean, I think you decide what we talk about. Most time we talk about the Middle East, actually, an excellent Middle East, so that's fine with me. But incredibly uncordial to gentlemen. So I think I'm happy to answer all the questions that you pose. You choose what the subject is.
Yes, but how did we get to this point where our human rights are being questioned? It shouldn't have come to this point. Am I right?
Well, I think it's not fair to ask this question from the military because whatever I say is going to be termed as biased. So I think so this perhaps is a question that should be asked from an ununiform source. Well, what we need to understand, however, is these allegations that are coming from the West are tragically divorced from the ground reality. Do these people, how many of these people have seen what actually goes on in the North and East? Well, let me pose this question to you, ladies and gentlemen. How many of you have gone to North and East? And how many of you have spoken to the people there? How many of you have read the local reports? How many of you have read the report published by the Government Census and Statistics Department? And let me tell you, this department's report is a credible report because it was done by the Department of Census and Statistics, not using the people in the south. This was done by the Tamil officials, people of Tamil ethnicity. Please pardon me for using the ethnicity here. That is only to highlight the fact that this is a justified, proper report. And this report has come out with figures. How many of us have seen these figures? How many in the international community has seen these figures? So this is why I say that these allegations that are now leveled against the country are totally divorced from the ground reality.
Well, yeah, just one, and Rajiv too. In your various roles as military spokesman, as Secretary General of the Peace Secretariat, former, and as Secretary to the Ministry of Disaster Management and Human Rights, I'll start with Johan first. Have you ever had occasion to lie or twist the truth in your line of duty?
And if you had, would you admit it?
Any pardon, sir?
If you had done it, would you admit it at a public forum?
Shall I ask a question? Yes. Now, I'll tell you a good story. Yes. I'll tell you a good story. This is a story from Bible. Okay. When the Jesus Christ was going on preaching the people in the Galilee area, he has seen a crowd. He had approached the crowd to see those people, they are pelting stone at somebody. You see? Then he saw that a lady was buried deep up to her neck. And that was the punishment in those days, severe punishment. You see? He stopped. Then and there, he said, look, I'll give you a chance to throw stone at this lady. First of all, tell me, the first person who comes forward, have you ever done anything? A single thing. If you are done, you can't do that one. Otherwise, come forward and do the throw. Please. Then you all keep your hand to your chest and see whether you all are suitable enough. Everybody